Hello everyone, this is Very Mellow Man welcoming you to Let's Play Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Just wanted to show you guys I have played this game before extensively. So, let's get started with a new game.
Perhaps you've seen it, maybe in a dream, a murky, forgotten land. A place where souls may mend your ailing mind. You will lose everything once branded. The symbol of the curse. An augur of darkness. Your past, your future, your very light.
The ranking people... Unfortunately, that's gross.
None will have meaning, and you won't even care. By then, you'll be something other than human. A thing that feeds on souls, a hollow. Long ago, in a walled-off land far to the north, a great king built a great kingdom. I believe they called it Drangleic. Perhaps you're familiar. No, how could you be? But one day, you will stand before its decrepit gate without really knowing why. Like a moth drawn to a flame, your wings will burn in anguish. Time after time. For that is your fate. The fate of the cursed.
And that's our intro. Basically, the point of these intros in all the Souls games is to update you on what the setting is like, and basically give you your general main plot objective. Or at least that's how they're supposed to go. But in Dark Souls 2, it's more of a meta commentary on what the Dark Souls games mean to the fan base. God, I sound so... Okay. Like, the problem with that intro is that you don't have any idea what the plot is supposed to be. And it appears not the only person who started playing today. Yeah. Alright, so basically, this is a different type of RPG than what we've been playing up until this point. It's much more Twitch gameplay oriented rather than tactical. We have a dodge button, attack, parry. And we're playing in 60 frames per second. This game was originally developed for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, so when it was upscaled for the PC, we were able to play it 60 frames per second. Since we're on the PS4 now, we can also play at 60 frames per second for the same reason.
What seems to be the ruckus?
Oh my, your face. The face of the curse. It's an undead.
The horror.
An undead has come to play. They all end up here. All the ones like you. You spoke to that kind old dear, didn't you?
You're finished. You'll go hollow.
And the rest that's just gross dumb.
Yes. You'll become one of them.
Hollows prey upon men, feast upon their souls. This is the fate of the cursed.
What is your name?
Let's just go with this. Oh. Yeah, sure. Let's just go with my YouTuber ID.
At least you know your own name. Here's your reward for sharing. It's a human effigy.
Take a closer look. Who do you think it's supposed to be?
Think back, deep into your past. Yes, it's an effigy of you.
Now we're at the character creator screen. Choose your class. We're gonna go with sorcerer. I mean, each class has a set of starting equipment and starting consumables for you to use. Right out the bat. You can keep the starting equipment for the remainder of the game if you wish, but more often than not, you'll find yourself upgrading to better gear and weapons as you go along. If you're going for a casting class like the sorcerer, that's definitely the case. Now you have gifts. This is another item you can choose to start with to give you a little bit of a boost at the beginning of the game. The life ring is pretty much not what you want at all. A human effigy, basically, there's a mechanic in this game where every time you die, you lose health. Your HP bar is permanently reduced, and the only way to restore your HP bar to its full height is to use a human effigy. So you can start with more of those. Healing wares are just curatives. The Homeward Bone is like it's basically teleportation back to the last bonfire. You rest of that. A bonfire is a place where you can rest to teleport to other bonfires in this game, as well as do other various functions that we'll get into when we get to a bonfire. The Seed of Retreat of the Giant is really useless to us. It's supposed to only really help out during the multiplayer segments of the game. And I don't necessarily plan on exploiting the multiplayer at this moment. What we want is the bonfire aesthetic. Alright. I'm gonna stick with the male gender. Sure. Check what kind of physique you have. Change your homeland. I'll be honest, I'm not that interested in futzing up the character creator, so let's just get started.
All people come here for the same reason. To break the curse.
You're no different, I should think. Doesn't stand a chance.
Well, you never know. Go through the door and trot along to the kingdom.
But hold on to your souls. They're all that keep you from going hollow. Oh, I'll fool you no longer. You'll lose your souls. All of them. Over and over again.
Yeah, there's more of that meta commentary I alluded to earlier. It's basically just them talking to the player about what is now known as the dominant view of Dark Souls as a game. It's just that game where you die over and over again. A lot. The difficulty of the Dark Souls series has taken on a life of its own. And Dark Souls 2 capitalized on that. Bonus human effigy. Alright. Here's the bonfire I was telling you. There's only a lot of bonfire, you can rest there. You can do certain things. You can travel between other bonfires you've kindled in other areas of the game. And if you use, well, spells, you can go to this menu to attune those spells to your spell slot. This game uses Vancian magic, so each spell you have will have a number of uses. And once those uses are gone, you can't use the spell anymore. The burn mechanic, you have 3 different items to burn at a bonfire, and the item you burn will determine the different effects that you get to pull off throughout the game. Burning a bonfire ascetic forces every enemy in the area to respawn and become stronger. And it happens each time you use a bonfire ascetic, so this is a very risky item to use. And if you burn a human effigy, well, this also prevents people from invading you for a time. The last thing on there is an item box, but that's self-explanatory, so we're not going to get into it. It's basically just a place you go to in order to in order to store any items you don't want to have on your person. There's no inventory limit size, so you don't need to store items into the item box solely so you can pick up more items. It's purely a convenience thing, because if you just keep all your items on your person, you'll have to shuffle through your inventory to get what you want, and it's going to be hard to dig for the items you want. But you, look at this gorgeous view, man. Why are we heading down here? I'm ahead, I'm off a hiding place. The Morning Star and the Cleric's Sacred Kind. We're here, binoculars. These orange messages on the ground can be left by the player. They are hints. You can leave a hint for basically anything you want in the game for other players in their various Dark Souls games to find and read. And if they like your message, they have a chance to rate them. What we just picked up will become very important very soon, as will she.
Are you the next monarch? Or merely a pawn of fate? Bearer of the curse, I will remain by your side till this frail hope shatters. Take this with you. May it ease your journey. Go on and see the king. He who made Drangleic what it once was. He who peered at the essence of the soul. King Vendrick.
Alright, you may level up by the power of the Emerald Herald. Now to equip our new Estus, we have to press the touchpad to open this menu. Equip it like this. Highlight and equip it. Estus Flask recovers your lost HP, but it takes a while for you to drink the item, so you can be attacked during the drinking period.
Bearer of the curse, seek misery. For misery will lead you to greater, stronger souls. You will never meet the king with a soul so frail and pallid.
Hey, Madar. And yeah, we're playing Dark Souls today.
Seek those whose names are unutterable. The four endowed with immense souls. Their souls will serve as beacons. Once you have found them, return here to me, so that hope will not fade away. Is that a shard you found? Here, let me see it, so that I may help you. To see light, to see hope, however faint it might be.
So, okay. Now we can finally see what the Emerald Herald has for us. The level up screen we're not going to bother using because we have nothing to show for it. But needless to say, it's exactly what it says in the tin. We use that to level up. Madar, my starting class is a sorcerer. But the thing about classes in this game is that you're never locked into a class. You can start a sorcerer, but easily become a warrior as you level up your stats. And the opposite is true if you start as a soldier or a bandit, but you want to become a cleric or, you know, a spellcaster. Okay, so each time you use an Estus Flask shard, you get to increase how many Estus Flasks you have on your disposal. And that will just really help you out throughout the entire games, because you'll have a steady supply of healing items in your hand at all times. Yeah, no problem. There are two sources of healing in this game. The life gems, which we have on our person right now, and the Estus Flask. The advantages to the life gems is that you'll always be able to buy them. And the weakest tier life gems will always be sufficient healing, no matter what stage of the game you're in, as long as you can stay away from boss fights and sticky situations. While the Estus Flask are more powerful sources of healing, but they are limited between bonfire uses. So you have to pick between the Estus Flask and the life gem. What's the story of Dark Souls? Well, technically each game has its own story. Even though this is a sequel to Dark Souls 1, to the point where it does directly reference the plot of Dark Souls 1 to form its own plot, Dark Souls 2 has a very different plot. We were just explained the plot of Dark Souls 2 by the Emerald Herald. What we're going to be doing is seeking King Vendrick by collecting the 4 Great Souls scattered throughout Drang Lake, acquiring them. Hides Tower Flame. And there's one thing I have to give this game credit for. It's for looking absolutely gorgeous. Like, look at this sunset. Huh. Could have sworn we picked up the binoculars. Oh, that's right. They're a weapon now. Right. Look at this. King Vendrick is the ruling monarch of Drang Lake, the setting we are currently playing in. Like, the general gist of it is that he became the king after the war with the giants. And he's basically the main villain entirely because of his efforts to rid his world of the curse. I did not expect to see this early. Wow. Okay. Alright. This right here is a dragon sign. There are many types of summon signs within the Dark Souls 2 game. This is one of them. All summon signs have basically the same function. When you press open one, you summon a player to your version of the video game from their world. The reason we're not going to do that now is because we're going to try something pretty tricky. Oh boy, the battery's low. My battery is really low. Alright. Oh. Yeah. This is gonna take us a while, I feel. Yeah, you're gonna strap yourself in mid-R because this is gonna take us a while. Ah. Come on. Oh, hey, you're back. Oh, no, you're a different dude. Yeah. There we go. Those giant warriors are basically just called Stone Guardians.
Are you from these parts? My name is Lycia. I have come to spread the art of miracles, a practice of which I am a disciple. I can see that you are well suited to comprehend their wondrous power. But the cost of it, that's for your heart to decide. I'd heard awful rumors about this place, and I'm afraid they were all true. The king, gone. The earth, ravaged. The burden on the people weighs heavy. I fear that, by now, they may have scarce room in their hearts for miracles. Why did I come here? Well... do I need any other reason than to spread the gospel of miracles? My preceptor always said this art should be shared with the world. And such is my only wish. Sometimes I fight the urge to pack up and go back home. It is... well, I must do this. And being out here all alone only makes this a more fitting test of my fortitude.
Yeah, they're called... Those giant warriors are called
I
Old
expected
Knights.
this cathedral to be bustling, but there's hardly a soul to be found here. Without any goings-on, I'll have to move soon. To a place I could gull the... Sorry. Help the gullible by teaching the good word.
Yeah. Leia of Lindelt is a shady character.
No need for miracles. The gods frown upon such soul scrimpers.
Let's go back to Majula and spend these souls.
Bearer of the seek soul, seek the king, lest this land swallow you whole, as it has so.
Now for the really tricky part. Burning the bonfire skeg. Burning the bonfire aesthetic increases the damage every enemy deals, as well as increases the amount of damage they can take. It also respawns every boss in the area. Ooh, that guy. Ooh, okay. Okay. Oh. Okay. I just told you the Dragon Rider is alive because he was respawned by the Bonfire Ascetic. He's a boss. I need to kill him again in order to get more souls for what I'm trying to do. Yeah! Alright, we are done here. That trick is a speed running tactic used to get through this particular boss fight much faster than normal. There's a couple of versions of it. I tried one version, but didn't have any luck, so I did another version of it.
Bearer of the curtain, seek the king.
I can only imagine the Dragon Rider actually saying no as he plummets to his death. Alright. So, the hardest step of this plan was just killing the Dragon Rider twice. Now it's all easy street.
Oh, hello there. An honor to see you again. This room is not as it seems. There are two, not one pathways leading out. And only this lovely thing reveals the other path. And this, you lovely thing, only runs on miracles. Shall I provide you with one?
To move the path, you need 2k souls. No, you don't have to bring the 4 great souls to Vendrick. What the plot actually requires you to do...
May the power of miracles be with you. Offer your souls to the gods.
It's not actually explained very well by the Emerald Herald or even by the game, but the point... Vendrick's castle is locked behind a special gate, and the gate can only open in one of 2 ways. You either have 1 million points in your soul memory. Soul memory is a mechanic that counts how many souls you've acquired in total over the course of your character's playthrough. So you can see right here we've acquired a total of 36,000 souls based purely on our soul memory. Well, the plot is pointing you in the direction of you having to deal with Vendrick. You're set up as having to kill him, yes. But the plot twist is supposed to be that it's not Vendrick who you have to kill. Huntsman's Copse. Huntsman's Copse is special to me because years ago, before Dark Souls 2 was released, I and many other fans were welcomed into this particular area of the game for the network beta test. And we just all had a blast futzing around with all the beta versions of the spells and weapons and classes, all that good stuff. But what we're really here for right now is this guy.
The dark stirs. I see it. The darkest spark within you. My name is Falcon. I will track with you what you need.
Falcon, the outcast here, he is a special type of teacher. In these games, in order to learn new spells, you have to go to teachers like this guy in order to buy spells like this. And then, well, you equip that spell you buy into your magic board. Your spell book. I'll call it a spell book from now on. But yeah, to increase the amount of spells you can use for your spellbook, you have to raise a certain stat. And to learn new spells for your spellbook, you have to buy them from trainers like this. Why do I look like a zombie? That's the humanity system. The more times you die, the more of your humanity you lose. And the more of your humanity you lose, the more hollow you become. To restore your humanity, you have to devour a human effigy.
These are for you.
Yeah. See, teachers like this have stat requirements that you have to meet in order for you to actually buy spells from them. And they also come with special requirements to get free items from them, depending on how much that requirement you meet. But for example...
No matter, the time will come.
The whole reason I need to kill the Dragon Rider twice was so I could level up my intelligence and my face stat to 20. And if you do that, you're able to get a free sunset staff from him. Ooh. Still need 2 more points in that stat. Crap. Okay, well, at the very least, you can put on the Hexer stuff. Which also has the benefit of giving us 1 more point into the Faith and Intelligence stats. And that's important, because it also means there's 1 less level for us to need to get in order to actually wield the item we want to wield. Let's see. Yeah, let's go back to Majula. As you can imagine, in order to get these items, you have to do some sequence breaking. And we just sequence broke a bit. Because we're at soul level 33. And the area we're about to go into right now is balanced for a character who's just starting out the game. Which means you're only supposed to do this part of the game with base level equipment. And base level stats. Whew. Those big guys will take a long time to kill. I always forget this guy's behind me when I play this level. And this guy. What we just did there was a backstab. You line up behind an enemy, make sure you get your position just right. You deal a critical hit. Starting out, you kind of need to use a dagger for this portion of the game, otherwise you run out of spells pretty fast. Alright then. Oh crap. And there's still 2 more of them left. Perfect. Jesus. This is going to cost me way more trouble than it's worth. Let me get up here. Right. Oh, bloodstains, right. When you touch a bloodstain, you can see how a player in another world died. This is useful because it can give you a heads up on what danger you're about to face, and give you an idea of how to prepare for what's probably going to kill you otherwise. Yeah. Dark Souls is a pretty quiet game. There's no background OST to characterize the stages like in Dragon Age Origins or even Skyrim. Oh. Okay, that's everyone. You know what? Oh, you see that red bar underneath my dagger? That's my dagger's weapon durability. When your weapon's durability hits 0, your weapon breaks, and its damage power is reduced dramatically. So if you're using physical weapons in this game, keep an eye on that bar. So as you can see, there was a little ambush set up for us, but we prevailed. Yo. And the binoculars can help us snipe out enemies inside their hiding spots as well. And the reason we were able to kill that guy in 1 hit as opposed to 2 is because we got something called a counter hit. When you attack an enemy in the middle of their own attack animation, you get a counter hit. And that counter hit equals up to bonus damage. Hello, Karagol Gaming. Nice to see another Dark Souls fan show up. If you have to go to bed soon, I have to wonder how late it must be wherever you live. What country do you live in? And yeah, the Emerald Herald moves around Majula from time to time, so it can sometimes take a bit of effort to find her.
Seek souls. Larger, more powerful souls. Seek the king. That is the only way. Lest this land swallow you.
So you live in Sweden, Karagol. Okay. That makes sense. Let's level up. Alright, we haven't exactly enough for 1 level up, so we don't want to mess this up. What stat do we need to level up? (22) intelligence.
There, seek the lest.
We already have 21 intelligence thanks to our equipment, so not 1 point's all we need. Dark Orb. Let's think about weapon scaling. Depending on your stats and the weapon you have equipped, whatever weapon you have equipped to your left or your right hand will have the appropriate damage numbers. Since we have the Sunset Staff equipped with 22 intelligence and 21 faith, this is how much right hand weapon damage the Sunset Staff will inflict. Now compare that to the Sorcerer's Staff that we start with. Alright, good night, Karagol. Enjoy the VOD when you get a chance to see it. The Sorcerer's Staff deals 37 damage. But the scaling of the weapon is also important here. So the Sorcerer Staff deals 337 damage of pure intelligence scaling damage, because as you can see down here, the only stat it scales off of is intelligence. And that's fine if you're going for a pure intelligence build, but this build is going to be a Hexer build. Hexer builds scale off the the sorcery, intelligence, and face stats. That's 2 stats. And the way Hex damage scales is that you get more damage depending on whichever stat between faith and intelligence is the lowest. So to get the most damage, you ideally want to make sure your faith and intelligence are at all times equal. So we're gonna... Oh, that's a lot of souls, actually. Okay. So, let's do this. We're back to even scaling. Now we've done that, so back to the Forest. The Fallen Giants. Back to Cardinal Tower. Let's stop this lovely little merchant here. Ooh. Summon sign. It's cool to get summon signs at this level. This is one of the most iconic mechanics related to these games, and that's the ability to summon other players into your world to help you throughout the world and throughout boss fights. So we summoned Independent Kid. Well, I won't take up your time, Independent Kid. Let's get going. Someone from another world. That happens. Every enemy in the world gets a buff to their attack stat. Oh, wow. Yeah, we're not going up there, Independent Kid. Not quite in the mood for it.
Hello there. Traveling all alone in these treacherous times. Well, I hope you have a very good reason. Oh, hogwash. Who am I to judge? My name is Pate. I journey hither and thither on a sort of treasure hunt, you might call it. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself. Oh yes, you be cautious if you go any farther. There's treasure in there for certain, but the entrance locks from behind. I saw the same design earlier, and it's the same contraption, I'm sure. I was with this warrior, you see, and he insisted that he go inside first. The rather brusque fellow tried to swipe the lid for himself, but it trapped him inside. I still have the gent's ring. I do hope he wasn't harmed.
Oh, there goes my Phantom. Yeah. Another asset of this game are the illusionary walls. You press X when you're up against the wall that you think is fake. Voila, you get a treasure. A free sorcerer staff and an amber herb for your trouble.
I see you managed to escape. I hope that brave warrior didn't come a cropper either. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself. Oh, but you should take this.
And that's how you get... This is actually a side quest. So what we just did there was a little side quest to get that item.
To one another, across the fissures between worlds. With luck, somebody will lend you a hand. Well, I see you managed. I hope that be careful.
Yeah. Another thing we can do is check out item descriptions. So let's look at the item description for the White Sign Soapstone. Online play item, leave summon sign. Be summoned as a phantom to another world in order to help that world's master for a certain time. You will be rewarded with a token of fidelity for successfully assisting the other player. The flow of time is a sword in these lands, and the White Sign Soapstone allows undead to assist one another. Here's how it works. You get a general description of the item underneath the item's name. Then you get a description of what the item's functions allow. And finally, you get flavor text in the shape of lore to show you its place in the setting. Let's look at the Sunset Staff as well, as far as lore goes. A staff said to have been forged in Aldia, a catalyst for sorceries and hexes, particularly powerful for casting hexes. Right. It's a reference to the fact that the hex damage you inflict with the Sorcerer's Staff is actually higher than the Sunset Staff's sorcery damage because it's meant for casting hexes. The mysterious Lord Aldia secluded himself inside a manor to conduct various experiments. Those invited in the manor disappeared, replaced over time with malformed beasts that roamed its halls. The reason for this item description is because originally you could also find the Sunset Staff outside of a late game area called Aldia's Keep. But since you can get a free copy of the Sunset Staff really early, this happens instead. Yeah. Alright, time for the first intended boss fight in the Souls game that we're playing. If you did that side quest to get the white sign soapstone, you get to summon mild-mannered Pate for this boss fight. Another thing, pretty much unique to this version of the Dark Souls 2 game, are these very helpful little phantoms. They can also summon for boss fights. And what they'll do is that the difference between the large white signs and the small white signs is that the large white signs disappear after you kill the boss related to the area. But a small soapstone, those stay forever. And you can always summon these guys if you just need a helping hand. I'm going to summon Pate here because he's part of... I don't know if you actually need to summon Pate and keep him alive for this quest chain, but let's summon him. And for some reason, every time you enter a boss fight, that red circle of blood appears. couldn't get him to drop his arm before I did that. Even with the boss's bonus health, getting the Sunset Staff and a few casts of Dark Orb this early in the game pretty much melts his HP. Oh, I didn't know you left, Madar. You just missed the boss fight with the last giant. Oh, I guess I'll summon you. That's interesting.
Gosh, oh, come now, help an old woman and buy something. My name is Melentia. You're a stranger to this land. Oh, we get as strangers these days. Everybody's gone and run off. Drang Lake's been a pile of rubble since the war fought long, long ago. And the giants crossed the sea. Seemed like the battles would never end. Poor folk like myself have nary a place to sleep. I swear I'll keep all me things right with me. You may travel light, but methinks you bear a burden of your own.
Yeah. So that was Melinda's backstory. She's a poor woman who basically became a hoarder in order to survive in the war-torn lands of Drang Lake. That boss was called the Last Giant because, as of the present day within Dark Souls 2, giants of his nature were basically extinct, yes. Was the last living giant. Because most of them died in the war against Vendrick in the backstory. Alright, so, what we're gonna do. Alright, so we got a couple of items you can buy here. This is one of the most important. Ferrous Lockstone. Lingrass Key. No reason not to get this. And all her stock of life gems. Finally, one of these.
They say these trees grew from the remains of the giants. From each carcass sprouted new life growing into what you see now. But you know what they also say? Don't believe what an old hag says.
So yeah, her story is basically the closest we get to an explanation for why this place is called the Forest of Fallen Giants. The giants gave life to each tree.
Don't abandon them.
Yorm is in Dark Souls 3. And his story is very different. Like, look, the plot of Dark Souls 2 was written without what Dark Souls 3 plot would have in mind. So the name clearly has nothing to do with playing ahead of time. Yeah, let's buy one human effigy. Assault.
Take these if you want them.
we spend at least 10,000 souls at Melinsa's shop, she gives you the covetous Silver Serpent Ring +1.
Lovely times these are.
Well, it's not confusing. Dark Souls 2 was written without Dark Souls 3 ever being in the planning stages. And the names... So, the last giant can be literal, as in there was no plans for any further giant-like enemies in Dark Souls 2. Or you can take it as symbolic, as in he was the last giant that was still technically a member of that war. Because let me tell you, there actually are a couple of other giants still running around in the present day, but they're well hidden, and they're basically the only two. So the name's a bit of a non-indicator, but it's not like it doesn't make any sense. You can figure out pretty quickly why it's called that. If you're just willing to roll with it. Alright, so anyway. Alright. Yeah, no problem there. I'll be right back. Alright, now I'm back. Why do the giants have holes in their faces? No one knows. That's just how they're designed. There's no significance. There's nothing significant about it. did I fight any of the ogres. If you're talking about the big blue things, then yeah, I already killed one. One thing you probably noticed about my spell casting at this point is that it costs stamina to keep casting spells, as well as taking spell casts out of my spellbook. Yeah, I know you're talking about the hippo monsters. That's what I was talking about, the ogres. The blue things. They're blue. They're very noticeably blue. They're not gray, they just look blue to me. They look very blue to me. Alright. That is called a giant salamander. Those are very tough to kill, and you're not really supposed to be fighting them at this part of the game. Alright. Let me see. The monster design in the Souls games is pretty top-notch, in my opinion. Yeah. We used a fire longsword there, but because we didn't have the appropriate stats to wield it, the damage it could deal was weighed way down. Snake people. There are snake men in Dark Souls 1 as well. I'm trying to remember who the Dark Souls 3 snake people are. For a second. Humans with snakes' heads and long necks. Nothing comes to mind regarding snake men in Dark Souls 3. Sorry, I'm gonna have to look that up when I get the time. And right here we get the blue wooden shield and the large lost soul of an undead. Plus that, a Pharros' Lockstone door. These doors are special, and if you have a Pharros' Lockstone in hand, you can use a Lockstone to open up doors shaped like this in order to unlock a secret passageway or a hidden function. Got a tiny shard for that. And a couple of chests. Chloranthy ring, which is going to help us a ton, and a Titanite slab, which we're not going to get much use out of right now. Oh, one last thing. You have 4 ring slots in this game, and each ring gives you a different buff or perk. So, for example, the Covetous Silver Serpent ring gives me, well, extra souls for each enemy I kill. Okay. I'm pretty sure that name was used in Dark Souls 1 as well. Man Serpent. Yeah, there's a weapon called the Man Serpent Greatsword in Dark Souls 1. So, I guess it just reused an enemy type. Here we go. Alright, so anyway, we have 2 rings equipped now. The Chloranthy ring to boost our stamina recovery speed, and the Covetous Silver Serpent ring to increase the amount of souls we earn from pretty much every source. Another thing there is that okay, so they're just called Serpent Soldiers in Dark Souls 1. I mean, realistically speaking, they're the same enemy, so I don't really see the point in giving them a different name, but, it's not my video game. To increase the speed of your life gem's recovery, just pop a second one. What's my favorite non-boss monster in Dark Souls? Oh boy. Let's see. My favorite in terms of design, I think... My favorite in terms of design, I think would have to be... Ooh. That's, I never actually thought about this type of question before. I don't want to say anything humanoid because, especially in this game, it's a little overdone. So I think my favorite type... Oh, you know what? Whatever. I think I'll say my favorite type are the Crystal Golems from Dark Souls 1. They're cool to look at, they have a pretty neat fighting style, and cool powers. I like fighting them as well, so... Yeah, the Crystal Golems from Dark Souls 1 were my favorite. I know, I didn't say... hold that thought. Greedy. I'm out of ways to hit him. Yikes. Okay. It's not that I can't beat him, I just don't have the casts left over to kill him. Yeah, the crystal golems are really cool looking. And I avoided picking humanoid enemies because I just... I have a thing against... I don't dislike humanoid enemies. Some of the best bosses in these games tend to be humanoid, but I just wanted to pick something I thought stood out to me in terms of design. Alright. Yeah, I know humanoid enemies can look cool. I'm just saying Dark Souls 2 has a bit of a reputation for oversaturating humanoid enemies as enemies in general. And it's kind of where I got my reservations from, because I didn't just want to go against the grain and pick something I didn't like just to get away from that particular idea. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for being a very, very good distraction, Drifting Dreamer. So the reason these ballistas are here is so you can kill the pursuer that way. And the reason I need to do that was because... well, I just don't have the ordnance to kill the pursuer the normal way. 21 Dark Orb isn't really enough. Oh, here's a neat little detail added to this game. That is the corpse of a giant from the war between Lordran and the Giant Kingdom. As you can see here, those undead soldiers are still attacking that tree because all they can see is their old enemy. It's one of those vermislitude things added by the Skull First Sin Edition. I just appreciate that touch very much. Now, let's examine this. Yeah. Let's go level up now.
Bearer of the curse, see, less.
Right. 8 strength. Just need 2 more points. Let's use a Dragon Rider Soul.
Bearer, see, less. Bearer, see, less.
Are there any humanoid enemies in this game who are not humans or enemies? Well, yeah, living suits of armor, basically. If you want to go that far. Living suits of armor. Alright. Alright. Now we can use our fire longsword, which is great for us because fire damage in this game has the same type of scaling as hex damage. The lower the stat between intelligence or faith, the higher the fire damage. But if both stats are equal, that means you have pretty much the best scaling for fire damage. And that's what we really want. Let's see here, large one shield. Living suits, yeah, like in Full Metal Alchemist. Living suits of armor, no human inside of them. Large leather shield. I'll be right back. Sometimes real life just calls and you have to answer the door. So let's see. First, let's go get a Yo, 2KO. Right. The thing about weapons is that you want to check the moveset of the weapon as well as the damage in order to pick a weapon you like to use. So, that's the R1 combo for the longsword. That's the R2 combo for the longsword. That's the lunge attack, which you perform by pressing up and R2 at the same time. That's a backstep attack. You have to press circle and R1 afterwards. That's the R2 version of the backstep attack. That's the rolling attack. Roll 4 plus R1. And there you go. And it's also a two-handed moveset, if you want to increase the damage. Right. Now I can use a large leather shield. That was the shield our Phantom friend was using in the boss fight earlier. Nice stability and decent physical damage reduction. You need a shield? It's pretty much the best way you can get. Yeah, watch out for that booby trap. It will kill you. Ooh. Yeah. The stability stat on your shield dictates how much stamina you lose when you block an attack. And if you lose all your stamina while you block an attack, you are guard broken, and you are left vulnerable to another attack. A follow-up, if you will, from your enemy. Let's talk to this strange fellow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just daydreaming, I think. My name is Kale. I am a traveler, like yourself. I'm navigating the continent to create a map.
Why is there a telescope in my hand? Those are called the binoculars. And what they are used for is for helping your caster aim their spells at enemies without needing to use the lock-on feature. It's best for long-range sniping, and it really helps you with that.
Why cartography, you ask? Well, that's a good question. When I first came into this forsaken land, it was a curse? Something about a curse? How embarrassing. I seem to have lost my focus. But I do know one thing for certain. I have always been very fond of maps.
So you know about Gavlan as well. We'll meet Gavlan. I guess we'll meet him soon. But yeah, he shows up in a couple of areas in the game. You have to basically unlock him in order to find him.
I came to this land some time ago. Drangleic, the Lost Kingdom. It sounded so romantic. Have you seen Majula? Oh, there's a rather spacious mansion there. I've made it my temporary home. Well, as something of a squatter, I'm afraid. Inside the mansion, I found a strange map, like none I'd ever seen. I believe that it's a map of Drangleic. Now I'm traveling the land to prove it. Yes, that's it. That's why I came to the kingdom. Wait, no, that wasn't it. Then what? I don't seem to recall.
Gavlan is a Garm. I mean, how do you pronounce the name? Gavlan is a Gyrm. Gyrm. They are basically the closest this setting has to dwarves. Yeah. He's basically a dwarf.
Were you looking for that map? Wonderful. Then you're fascinated by maps, just like me. Shame on you. You should have told me before. Here, take this. A key to the mansion. What a joy to meet a kindred spirit out here.
Alright. You have to keep talking to Kale, the cartographer there, enough times to get him to give you the house key to that mansion in Majula. Oh. Let's talk to Melinta right now.
I knew you'd be back. It's high time that I pick up a moose. I've a bargain for you next time we meet my lover. Lonely times these.
Once you get that dialogue of her, she will... Alright, here's the thing. When you beat a boss next to a bonfire, it will automatically burn a human effigy around the boss area. Right, my controller lost all its battery life, so I have to reconnect it. You saw a white, masked, black-suited character in the Dark Souls 2 trailer. I forgot the name of that particular enemy, but yes, they are in the game. It'll take us a while to get to them, but when we get to them, I'll point them out to you. Yeah, look at this place. He lives here. You can tell. Giant books. This is the largest book I've ever seen in this setting. Another Ferrous Lock Stone. First prize for getting inside here. This is the map Kale was talking about. It's a map of all of Drangleic as a continent. Down here is the reason he won't go back to his manor. What was just there was a parry riposte maneuver. Riposte damage is higher than backstab damage because parries are harder to do than circling around the enemy's back in order to kill them. I'm glad to know there are very large books like that in real life. Alright, human effigy. An Estus flash jar for our trouble. And this thing. Soul vessel. That's upstairs. For another chest. The last one in the house. 3 tiny shards and a torch. The Devil Bible. Yeah. I'm not in the mood to deal with those grubs, so let's just rush over there and reset the position. Unlock this place by using the soldier key. More Titanite shards. Hand axe and a radiant life gem. Small white soapstone, which is basically a weaker version of the white soapstone sign I already told you about. And the Divine Blessing, one of the best healing items in the game. Alright. What direction do we go in? Yeah. Hang out here. The boulder trap won't go off a second time, but you have to kill this guy instead.
Such a map to be chiseled in stone. I would not venture deep into the mansion, but I've heard disturbing noises.
The giant warrior of a mace is a living armor.
Just be careful,
Yes,
please.
they're not human beings.
I'll be back in Majula soon. Perhaps we will meet again and discuss maps at our leisure.
Right, and that's how you get Kale to move to Majula. Alright, here we go. Let's talk to over there.
Who are you? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just help me open this door. I packed my tools in here, seeing it was vacant, but now somebody's gone and locked the door.
Right. Leningrass key unlocks the first blacksmith character you meet in the game.
Ah, yes, very good. Now I can get to work. But first, let me set up. Come again later.
And by layer, he just means refresh the area by resting on bonfire.
You, stand back. This is dangerous work. The name's Lenigrast. Just a simple blacksmith. And you are? Another useless traveler. A man ought to labor with his feet planted firmly in the earth. Not roam around like you flirtatious vagabonds. Oh, what does it matter? Go on, show me what you've got. Your equipment. Let me have a look. But do it quick.
Right. So, yeah, you can buy items from him like generic weapons, the S-Talk, rapier, axe, mace. Let's buy arrows if you want to play an archer character. And you can buy repair powder for your weapons, which would be very handy. And Titan shards to upgrade your weapons to a basic level. So let's do that. Let's repair our weapons. Let's reinforce it. Our fire longsword can be reinforced to improve its damage, both its base physical damage and its fire damage. Now I have a fire longsword plus 3. That's how weapon upgrading works in Dark Souls 2.
Drat. You're worse than my reckless daughter. Don't spend your whole life in transit, you hear? I'll be around if you make it back.
Alright. And that's basically going to wrap it up for this video. I think it's a nice little... I think about 2 hours at minimum is a good length for the videos I plan to make. Dark Souls 2 isn't a very long game when you get right down to it, so ignoring the DLC, I think 2 hours per video is a good length. This isn't like Dragon Age or Skyrim, where the video length is more or less corresponding to how much side content I was willing to do. Dark Souls 2 is pretty tightly packed. So in the next video, we're going to probably show off the tutorial area and then move on to... Well, I guess we'll just show off some of the cast and head down into the sewers to check out, well, the pirate ship. If you liked today's video, leave a like and subscribe for future content. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.